Greetings, it's Dot Compiler and welcome to the Introduction to Blender for Game Developer series. In this video we will have a look at a tool which can be considered an alteration of an extrude tool for some specific scenarios. First of all, we have for instance a task and we want to create a new face or a new set of faces inside this, for example, specific face. So we have this specific face and we would like to insert a new one that will be exactly on the same plane as the edges or the vertices of this exact face. Of course, to do that, we can use an extrude tool, which we've covered in the previous video. The link to that will be in the description. So basically, if you select this face, you can either use extrusion tool or just press E on the keyboard. Try to extrude the face. As you can see, it gets extruded outside of it, for now along normal. So I can click right mouse button and it will snap back to the place where it was before. Of course, the extrusion still happened, so I can just scale it down, for instance, via S. Scale it down. As you can see right now, we have a perfect insertion of a new face just inside the existing one. So by the way, here, as you might notice, you have 4 new faces and they all consist of a loop. So basically, if you want to select this loop, like not one by one, but the whole loop together, you can hold Alt, left Alt, and then press at the cross section of 2 of those faces. So basically, if you hold Alt and press somewhere between 2 faces, or 2 edges or 2 vertices, it will allow you to select a loop. For instance, here, the vertical one, here, the horizontal one, here, and if I want this specific loop, I shall select somewhere between those 2 faces over here. So now, from this specific point, we may go, for example, a bit further. So if we would like to insert this face exactly, for example, to the wall of a house, we can now simply, for instance, extrude it, insert to make something similar to a window or something like that, or the door, or whatever was the reason for you to use such technique. But as you can see, in order to create something like that, you have to perform several steps. Like first of all, extrusion of the face, for instance, then cancelling of this face, scaling it down, and only then you will get this appropriate result. But because it may happen that you may want to perform such things several times, and of course everybody would like to do something more automative. So for that we have a specific tool over here. It's called Inset faces. So basically it works similar to the way of the extrusion tool. So we have a face, for instance, selected, we have a circle. So if I press left mouse button somewhere inside of this circle and move it, I might find the angle. For instance, as you can see, not in all directions it allows you to do something. So I was here, if I drag it inwards, it will allow me to insert a face. Okay, so now I've just swapped, let's say, 2 steps of the process with only one. So basically we have the tool here if you want to use gizmos for that, but in other cases, if you hold I on the keyboard, press I on the keyboard, you can then enter the mode of inserting a new face, as you can see here. So basically I've pressed I, and now I am free to move anywhere I like. So basically I won't even have to scale it again, because I can make it pretty small if I want. So now, once again, extrude it inside, and we have the same thing as before, but the amount of steps to perform that is a bit smaller. But this tool also has some possible configurations. For instance, if I'll perform that once again, you may see that over here we have this last operation toolbox. If I open it up, we have several important configurations here, like for example thickness. The thickness value defines the amount, let's say the size of those adjacent faces, the adjacent loop of faces that was created, this specific one. So if you may want, you may just adjust it to your needs using this field. And of course, the depth allows you to specify the offset of the specific plane where you want this insertion to happen. So for example, as you can see, if you have a negative value, it becomes an insertion inwards. If you have a positive value, it becomes an insertion outwards. Of course, depending on what you want, you may use different values and of course configure that to your own needs. So the next important thing that we can have a look at over here is first of all called outset. So basically right now, as you can see, after checking this tick box, as we can see, it created two different structures. Yeah. So without the outset, it just inserted a face inside of the face. With outset enabled, we can see that now this loop that was previously inside is now on the outside of this face. So basically it didn't still break anything inside of our cube. We still have the same shape, but right now the loop of faces is outside of the face and the one that we have selected is of the same size as it was before. And of course, another important property that we have here, of course, as you can see, after I selected the outset, if I do an insertion right now, it will automatically set it to outset. So basically, if you configure it once, you will be able to use that configuration every time. So the more important thing that we have here, one of the most important that left for us to see, is called individual. So for now, if I will enable that, we won't see anything because I only have one face. So for instance, if I select several of them and use this insertion, it will allow me to, of course, insert all three faces. And of course, as you can see, we have something like that. Yeah, the loop now looks a little bit different. But if I will enable this individual, we will see that three of the faces selected have now a new face inserted inside. So basically I've just subdivided my selection into three or more different parts depending on how many faces I have selected. So this is pretty much it concerning this tool. Of course, there are some more configurations, some more applications, but from the beginner point of view, this will probably be it, because it is exactly what you would want from this tool, like to substitute several of the steps for extrusion, and which allow you to speed up your modeling process. Thus, if you found this video any helpful or interesting, give a like, post a comment, and of course subscribe. So, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.